Hey guys, welcome back. Okay, so this here is the strip down on the red IS front suspension. So like I've mentioned in the previous videos, the rear suspension actually gave us quite a bit of a hard time with regards to your dog nuts on the side shafts. They were actually seized. So we had to soak them overnight for a good few nights, give them heat and so on like that, and eventually we got them out. So they currently been sandblasted and powder coated. We're gonna do the follow-up video afterwards. For now, this is a long overdue front suspension video that we were planning, and we want to get this done. We want to get it ready for cleaning, blasting, and with the front suspension you can't really recondition any much of the items. What we got to do is replace. So here goes. So anyway, we're going to start off now quickly with the ABS sensors, right? So again, I've loosened the bolts. So I've loosened the bolts of them just so it makes it easier for me in the video. Now your ABS sensors, you've got 4 ABS sensors, 2 on the front and 2 at the back. These sensors here, it's common for them to be broken. So see, this is a bit sticky because of all the paint, previous paint, but the sensor itself is broken and it's broken right at the head. So I'm going to leave that one side. We're going to have to replace this guy. The nuts and bolts, again, I'm going to keep one side, I'm going to keep them away. This one is still a bit sticky. This 19 is a bit sticky here. So your caliper bolts, I'm going to undo the calipers and then we'll do a strip out of the calipers totally separate. So we'll just keep them together. I see these calipers are also missing the anti-rattle clips that I'll have to purchase from the agents, and then I see that one of the disc guide bolts are missing, so that I'll have to capture new. Those are different to the normal fold E30 suspensions. Okay, so you'll see this is actually coming off with the disc. So your 219s are off. That holds your caliper to the hub itself. So the disc is already loose here. Okay, so we've got the caliper off. You can see this guy's missing the anti-rattle clip that comes over here. What we're going to do is, this here is a girling caliper if I'm not mistaken. It should be a girling caliper. I hope it doesn't give me a hard time in electroplating. So we're going to strip this guy up, and then this will be another episode. So we're first going to see what colors we're going to go if we're going to it's an 80E caliper. I hope I don't have a hard time in plating these guys. I believe that over the years, the compounds of the calipers have changed. So I've actually got 2 80E brands. I was busy with rear calipers now for the Gold car, and I'll actually show you how it looks on the vehicle. And both 80E brands, but one is from an earlier model or later model. I'm not too sure how it worked out back then, but the one 80A brand you can actually not electroplate at all. The other was still doable. I got that right. I got the color. It actually came out very nice. I'll post a picture on the video of the color. They're on the car now. They look nice, but I hope these guys don't give me a hard time. Anyway, so like I told you, the one bolt was missing. That's the guide bolt. So the disc is already off. I'll show you on the other strut. Now we're gonna take that off. But these discs are finished. So they're actually warped. They're so finished that they're actually warped and they're starting to crack up. So if I bring it closer to you, you can see how thin that is. So you know we're gonna throw these guys away. I'm actually gonna put them down here. Put them down. And then we're gonna get them replaced. So these clips here, we'd like to keep these guys because you'll see that on the passenger side, you've got a clip like this here, right? So you'll see one is actually a small hole and one is a big hole or big holder. So the one holds your ABS sensor, the other one holds your brake pad sensor. So normally the light that comes on the dash, we like to keep those guys safe. You can see everything has been painted here. They sprayed over everything. So we're gonna have to clean them up decently. Then you've got, I'm a little bit confused on this vehicle as to the VIN is a Evo 1 VIN, but the suspension on the vehicle looks like it's from Evo 2, or maybe they've just found parts and moved them over. But I'm gonna keep the car back to Evo 1. The difference between Evo 1 and Evo 2 suspension is that they still use the, it's actually from the E30 M3. The E30 M3 front struts that you'll distinguish by the 4 bolts. Uncle Sean from TuneTech, he pointed this out to us on TikTok. I think it was early last year or something of the sort. Then the Evo 2 came with aluminium control arms, the Evo 2 and the M3s. But the Evo 1s, or that's the OAF cars, the Shadowlines, not Shadowlines, the Evo 1s came with metal control arms. Okay, so just to go back on that, right? So there's a bit of controversy around this here. Some people believe that both Evo 1 and Evo 2 came out with aluminium. My knowledge is Evo 1 steel control arms and Evo 2 and M3 came out with aluminiums. Nonetheless, the other difference was your stabilizer links, right? The Evo 1s came with a short link and the Evo 2s came with a long link. So the long links came later on in the E36s as well. So what we're going to do is now we're going to try and strip this guy out, but this link is so badly gone that if you turn on the one side, she strips out on the other side. So I just want to say it's my 17. So there is a gap to hold in here and I'll be able to turn it out. Let's see if I can do this here. This will be easier for me. Okay, let me do this here. Let me get my socket quickly. Okay, so this is the drag link that's off here. You can see these guys are totally gone. Right, there's so much of play on them, it's unreal. But we need to use the shorter links on this car. Anyway, we're going to keep the nuts and bolts again. Keep that one side. This here, I'm going to throw down. Then I'm not going to take the spring off now. But what we are going to try and salvage is the plate, right? But this plate is damaged. The 325 IS dust plates are much wider. So they are unique. So they're unique to the 325 IS and to the M3s. We try and salvage these guys as much as possible. This one here can be salvaged, but this one here can't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the hub on now. When I'm going to get my guy to strip a hub off. So while I'm stripping this guy out quickly, he's going to strip this off so I can still show you how this looks and I can take the dust plate off. And then he's going to strip out the spring and shock mount. And then this boot here. So if you have a look here, this boot has overspray on it where it's actually crackling up. So the ones that come with the Bilstein shocks actually come in blue in color. We'll actually purchase this here from the agent separately, and then we don't have the bump. The rubbers are here, the shock rubbers are here, but there's nothing. It is at the bottom. Okay, it is there. So the rubbers are important also. That also it adds to your rattling on the car going forth afterwards, and it also seats the shock, the spring in place. So you want to keep that. So I'm going to send this guy out now. They're going to work on the press and on the bench vise. Pull this guy out first, get the shock mount and spring out, and then I'll bring it back. And then you can see how this here looks. Great. Okay, so while I've sent that one there in quickly, we're going to do the other side. This guy has got let's start off with the back. So these guys have been, someone has tried to restore this here. Let's try with the sensor again. We'll take the ABS sensor off here quickly and take it off. So a lot of these guys always bend these clips, but before we powder coat them, we've just got to panel beat this guy. But the sensor is still in good nick. the plug is broken here, but it'll still lock on in place. Anyway, we're going to keep this guy one side, then we'll keep the Allen key with it. Where's the 17? Let's get this guy out here. So it looks like this guy is also strapped up here. Yeah, so this guy is also strapped. So I'm gonna have to lock it in place. Let's bring it closer to the edge here for me. Okay, so we're gonna lock this guy in place. So we have loosened them before. Well, she's turning in the socket here. Okay, there she's tight. Okay, so got her out. Again, this link is actually harder. You can actually see how much of play we got here. So we're going to throw these guys out, keep the nuts. At this point in time, the nuts are much more important to me. Then we want to keep these clips here, right? So we're going to get these clips cleaned out. So they've got a whole lot of overspray on them. We're going to have to get these cleaned out. You can get these new from the agents, but they come out in black color. And we're going to take out these, and we don't want them black, we want them white, because the white contrasts well onto the black stud. Then these, I showed you how we get these guys looking new, so we want to maintain the old one. There's nothing wrong with the pipe itself. There's just an overspray on here, so we'll get this here cleaned up, and then we'll get them plated up. I see that side there wasn't a pipe for the other caliper, so we'll have to see if we got a second-hand one here. If all fails, then we'll go with a new one. So I'm just gonna take out this 19 here. Okay, so the two 19s out again. We're gonna keep that one side. Then we're gonna slide the caliper out. So again, the anti-rattle clip is not there. These nipples are stripped like you can't believe it. So we get new nipples, and we get the nipple cover over it. Again, we'll keep this here one side. Okay, so before we send this guy out for getting pressed out, let's just turn it over quickly. So your disc, you normally have an Allen key holding the disc onto the hub, right? So take this guy out here for you. You've got an Allen key, a single Allen key. I think it's a 4 or 5. I'm going to keep that one side, and then we'll get the disc out again. This disc is a bit better than the other one, but it's past its sell by date, so we won't be able to salvage these discs for this car. We will end up getting a new set for it. So what I'm going to do is, again, we're going to send those guys in, get the shock mount out. That I see the rubbers are here. Again, the boot is got a whole lot of overspray on it. We've got the new shock kit for it, so I'm not even worried about salvaging the shock kit. And then there is play up here, so we will get new shock mounts. Let's get her to the press, get her ready to get pressed out, and the spring taken off. Now to the next part of it, to the next stage of it, right? Now we've got the, I don't know if it's just easier for me to work over that side there. Okay, so to the next part of it, what we want to do is we want to get rid of the control arms. So again, these are aluminum control arms. The aluminum control arms, you can't press the bushes in or out. Somehow, somewhere, I think the subframe of this vehicle has been changed. So anyway, get the 21 nuts out. And we've loosened this guy before I started, like I told you, just to get it, make life easier for us. So your aluminum control arms, you're unable to press these guys out. I think there is a way, but I'm not sure of it. I haven't really played around with the Evo 2s. So we're going to take these nylock nuts out. If you battle with them, okay, so one is they're both nylock nuts. So these here we won't plate. They normally come new, either if we're going to do new control arms, or if we are going to do new control arms, or if we're going to do new ball joints, the inner ball joints. So let's just get this guy bolted out here. Sorry guys, the camera just fell there. Anyway, so I think we were still talking about the aluminum control arms that we can't do. What I do want to show you here quickly is, you always hear guys talking about an offset bush, right? So your normal 4-hole E30s, so that will be your 316 all the way up to your 325s, non-IS, non-M3s. They come with a standard bush with a hole in the center. The IS all require an offset bush. This here basically pushes the wheel back or forth. Right, so it basically adjusts, or it affects your caster. So obviously, and it's actually got an arrow, a directional arrow of which way it should face. So when you're pressing it and you push it back in, it goes in to that arrow. Then we're gonna move over to, okay, so sometime in this car's life, I think this cross member has been changed, because this cross member is actually from a 318. How we know that is that we've got pump shocks on the cross member, right? So we actually gonna get rid of this cross member. I don't want to use it again, because you're gonna have the old bump shock holes, and that is just not correct. So now what we're gonna do is, now we're gonna slip out the steering rack. So picture this here now. Picture trying to do a steering rack with the engine in it. So here's one of the nipple covers. These are actually hard to come by, so I'm gonna keep it safely there. So this is actually the rear of the cross member. So your front of your engine would be here. This would be your rear, and then your gearbox, etc. Your sump comes basically over here, with the front bowl coming over to the side here. Now, trying to do a steering rack in the vehicle is not impossible. It's just hard to do. So you've got to lift the mount up a little bit, and then wiggle your way out. So two things done wrong here is that what the guys have done is, you can see the steering rack had been put in when the engine was out, because the head of the bolts are facing up. You're actually going to have them facing bottom or downwards, because of when you want to do a change out, or the way, firstly the way it came from the factory was like that. Secondly, the reason for them doing it is because when you want to do a steering rack replacement, you would loosen the nut on top, hold the head at the bottom, loosen that, and slide the head out. Zaid, welcome to come into the video. So we just want to get rid of this quickly. As for steering racks, I've had a lot of bad experiences with reconditioned racks. So again, I've taken the nuts out just to make life easier for me to strip out on camera. I've had a lot of bad experiences with recon racks. Sometimes you get it right, you find somebody who does it well, and sometimes you got the bad end of the stick. And when you have the bad end of the stick, the only time you really know that the rack is leaking, or it's got play on it, or something of the sort, is when you're driving the vehicle. And then you've got to go through all of this again to replace the rack and hope for the best with the repair. On one vehicle, I've had to do it, I think 4 times, and it became a pain in my butt. So what I actually done was, BMW doesn't have, well, I think they've got one more. They had one more steering rack in stock. And firstly, this nut is also, this bolt is also very long. It's the wrong bolts they're using in here. So BM had one, they've got one in stock, and I think the price is about 40,000. So it's not, I had to look for another solution, and the other solution is the E36 nut. So yes, it's not concourse, but it's the best way next to having an original E30 rack. So the downfalls to the E36 racks, if you really feel it, is the sensitivity of the racks. But once you get used to them, it's actually a very nice rack. The steering wheel becomes butter soft, and they're nice, right? They're much more reliable. So those, they are brand new aftermarket ones available for that. So your rack is basically held into place with 2 bolts and 2 nuts, right? And then obviously you've got your steering arms on there. So this is your subframe, also known as a cross member. This is basically a dead element. So okay, this is the dead element. I just want to go through the rack with you quickly. So these are your Tyre ends here, connected to your rack ends, connected to your steering rack. So a lot of the times when you do maintenance on the vehicles, you're doing Tyre ends, where these Tyre ends actually feel good. You can see they've been replaced. The rack ends feel a bit bad, and you can see here the bolts are pulled out. They've used not even cable ties. The bolts are gone. So we're gonna do a full replacement. We're gonna do a new steering rack on the vehicle, right? So we're gonna do the E36 step up. So quickly on the E36, a lot of the guys came and always spoke about what's the benefits of a steering rack, and number one, and what's the modification required. And I always said about the 2 pipes involved in it. Clearly you can see, I'm gonna turn this guy around for you, so you can see this. So it's these 2 pipes, your feed and return pipe. What you're gonna do is, on the standard E30 racks, your 2 pipes are together. On your E36 racks, your 1 pipe sits here and the other one sits here. So that is literally your only adjustment. Then obviously your knuckle, they require the long knuckle. You got a short knuckle and you got a long knuckle. So the 318s, if I'm not mistaken, came with the long knuckles, and the 6 cylinders came with the shorter knuckles. So this is not a complete knuckle. The coupling is still missing here, the dust cover is missing here, and the top half that goes now to your steering column, that's missing here. But it's fairly a simple modification, and I think it's worth it. So also, just for general knowledge, a lot of the guys pick up leaks on the steering racks. So a lot of the leaks actually come here by your rack and outlets, or sometimes, in very seldom cases, just your copper washers here on the racks itself. So what we're going to do is, on this guy, we're going to actually throw this rack away. I'm not even going to try and waste my time on them. Normally if you do pick up play on these racks, you can adjust the nut at the bottom. I'm not too familiar, and I'm not too sure exactly how that works. We want to keep the banjos aside. These banjos are still good, the heads look good, so we will most likely use them on the, I can't remember, one is a 17 and a 19, or 19 and a 21. I can't remember on the 36 rack if they're the same. So we're gonna see what we're gonna do with these pipes. This pipe is totally gone, so I would like to keep the metal frame off it and then just recrimp the rubber piece going to your bottle. Just keep this guy this way here. Your other pipe, I remember plating these pipes, what a nightmare. Anyway, this system looks good, but again, overspray everywhere. Overspray is a pain in the butt. But this pipe is bent and out of shape, so I'm gonna see what I can do, if I can find a nice second for this guy. So these 2 small pipes, you don't really worry about them, that's on the rack, and if you do get them wrong, you will build up pressure as well in the bottle. You will actually see it start bubbling up in the bottle. And your bolts aside. So quickly, we're going to go with colors of the vehicle, right? Obviously we're going to go with a nice matte black, but in particle form, the matte is actually a little bit glossier, so it's not as glossy as this here. But again, we would like to get all the new one that we use here. We'd like to get it back down to metal and then start one fresh powder coat from there, so we don't have all these big chunks of leftover paint, or whatever you want to call it, on that. It just looks much more nice and clean, even though you don't see it. Typical mistakes people make: these are the wrong bolts to use in this here, so I'll have to source the correct ones to use. They're just long, they're way too long. This one does look like the correct one. I'll confirm it. This is the shorter one, and you'll see the head is different. They're also rated differently. And then obviously the nuts, use the correct nuts in them. But we're gonna get rid of this. Then we can use the E36 rack, E30 rack ends, E30 Tyre ends. Then we'll just have to put a spacer here. So this is also one more that it requires, is that if you look at the spacing here on your mounting point on the rack, your E30s are much wider. You actually require about a 30 or 40 or up to 50 mil, if I'm not mistaken, spacer. So you can actually make out a nice shim. If you've got a lathe, you can use the lathe and just make out a nice shim just as a spacer and bolt it on. I will do some research as to what colors. I know they should have come out silver, but I'll also speak to the customer and find out what color he would like with regards to calipers. And we're going to decide if we're either going to powder coat it or we electroplate it. Guys, stay tuned for when I start assembling. That's when I'll start doing a lot of the work on bolts and nuts, etc. Like that. What I'll do is I'll just do a separate video with regards to the struts. Let me just see if one is done quickly. If one is done, then I can just show it to you before I end the video. Okay, so guys, so they're still busy with the strut. Again, the dog not giving them a hard time, and the shock turning with the mounting nut. Anyway, I'll update you guys on that. It's very simple. We're just gonna basically pop the bearing out. When you buy front bearings, it comes with the hub, so it's hub and bearing together. The rear only comes with bearings. So the interesting part will be the assembly part. I will keep that. I'll make sure that's complete. This is the end of the strip down on the red eyes. We should be getting ready to assemble maybe by next week, if not latest the following week. We just want to see how far parts are, and then we're going to be starting with the 333 assemblies as well. I hope you guys enjoy this channel. Please like, subscribe, and share our channel. Share the link. The link is again in the bio and in the caption below. And let us know what you guys think. Cheers.